Thank you for staying with me. I'm Ananya Datta and this is WION Speed News. Let's get started. China has lodged complaints over US, Japanese and South Korean leaders' criticism of Beijing at Camp David. The summit at the Camp David presidential retreat was the first standalone meeting between the three allies. Now, this comes when they seek to project unity in the face of China's growing power and nuclear threats from North Korea. On Sunday, China launched military drills around Taiwan as a quote-unquote serious warning to separatist forces. Hours before the drills, US President Joe Biden and the leaders of South Korean and Japanese leaders as well agreed at Camp David to deepen defense and economic cooperation. Russia's defense ministry says that it has thwarted a Ukrainian drone attack on the Moscow region that has injured at least 2 people. According to Russian Aviation Authority, nearly 50 flights in and out of Moscow were disrupted, and drone strikes in the Russian capital have become increasingly common as Ukraine complainingly ups its counter-offensive. Cambodia's king, Norodom Sihamoni, has inaugurated the parliament. This is seen as the beginning of a new era as the outgoing Prime Minister Hun Sen is set to transfer his leadership to his son, Hun Mane. Early this month, a royal decree endorsed the 45-year-old Army General Hun Mane to be the next Prime Minister. Now, this will require the approval of the National Assembly, dominated by the ruling Cambodian People's Party, after its landslide win in the July election. Hun Sen has unveiled a list of people expected to feature in the new cabinet, including several sons and daughters of close allies and serving ministers. The Japanese government will decide on Tuesday about the release of treated water from the crippled Fukushima nuclear plant into the sea. According to Japan's National Fisheries Cooperatives, there are concerns that still remain over the imminent plans to release radioactive water into the sea. Around 1.34 million tons of water, equivalent to more than 500 Olympic swimming pools, have accumulated since the Fukushima plant was knocked out by an earthquake in 2011. Plant operator TEPCO says that with around 1,000 steel tanks now full, space has run out and that it wants to gradually start discharging the water. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and First Lady Olena Zelenska were greeted with a standing ovation by Danish lawmakers. During a speech in the Danish parliament, Zelensky went on to say all of Russia's neighbors are under threat if Ukraine does not prevail, and added that he is certain that Russia will lose the war. This comes when Russia has condemned a decision by Denmark and the Netherlands to donate F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine, saying that the move will escalate the conflict further. The first 6 are due to be delivered around New Year. Denmark will deliver 19 jets in total. North Korea's national airline was set to make its first commercial flight in over 3 years, only for it to be abruptly cancelled at the last minute. Now, this comes when China has approved restarting of commercial flights between Beijing and Pyongyang. North Korea has been largely closed off from the outside world since early 2020, when it shut its border in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. According to reports, Air Koryo had not given a reason for the cancellation of the flight. At least 8 fighters have been killed by Russian airstrikes on rebel-held northwest Syria. According to Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, Russian warplanes carried out airstrikes on the western outskirts of Idlib city, targeting a military base belonging to Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. HTS is led by Syria's former Al-Qaeda affiliate and controls swathes of Idlib province. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un visited a Navy unit and oversaw the testing of a strategic cruise missile. This comes ahead of the start of the annual joint military drills between South Korea and the United States. As per North Korea's state media, KNCA, Kim Jong-un inspected one of his fleets in the East Sea or the Sea of Japan. The test launch was conducted with the intention of verifying the combat functions of the ship and the features of the missile system. The missile test also comes days after Joe Biden's Camp David summit involving the United States, South Korea and Japan. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol has said that the trilateral cooperation with the United States and Japan will grow stronger if North Korea's threats increase. He made these remarks day after he took part in a summit meeting with the leaders of the United States and Japan, where they agreed to deepen military and economic cooperation. Yoon also said that the country had begun a 4-day civil defense exercise, which is for establishing national emergency preparedness of maintaining government functions, supporting military operations and stabilizing people's lives during the war. Guatemalan anti-corruption crusader Bernardo Arevalo has been voted in as the country's president. Supporters gathered on streets to reveal his victory, blaring horns, waving Guatemalan flags and cheering. The victory seemed impossible until recently. Voters hoped that it will end years of rule marred by graft and authoritarianism allegations. Arevalo has vowed to purge institutions co-opted by the corrupt. The newly elected president also aims to get people committed to what he calls the fight for justice to return to Guatemala. This after scores of prosecutors, judges and journalists fled the country. Two former lawmakers, leftist Luisa Gonzalez and Daniel Noboa, will battle for Ecuador's presidency in an October runoff. Now, this comes after coming top in a first round of voting over the weekend. Gonzalez, a protege of former President Rafael Correa, who has promised to revive his social program, won 33% support, while Noboa, son of former presidential candidate Alvaro Noboa, won second place with 24% of the vote. Kazakhstan President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev was officially welcomed to Vietnam by his counterpart, the Vietnamese president. It comes at a time when the two countries are hoping to boost bilateral ties, particularly in trade and economic relations. Tokayev's 3-day visit is the first visit to Vietnam by a president of Kazakhstan in 12 long years. Although the trade between the two remains modest, they are hoping to boost it to $1.5 billion by 2030. Now, both leaders witnessed the signing of several cooperation agreements in areas of trade, tourism and culture. Over to some climate and weather updates. After making landfall in Mexico on Sunday, tropical storm Hillary is now unleashing vicious wind gusts and heavy rain across California. Officials have warned residents and urged them to take precautions. This is the state's first tropical storm in 84 long years. Despite the storm weakening, the state weather department has recorded winds up to 80 miles per hour as it approaches southwestern United States. Evacuations are underway in many areas and in the mountains and foothills of San Bernardino County in California, that is. Experts have predicted life-threatening floods and landslides to follow. A few desert regions could receive 2 to 3 years' worth of rain in 3 days. Following the state of emergency issued by British Columbia, Canada is now sending armed forces to tackle the fast-spreading wildfires. This as the western province deals with flames that have put more than 35,000 people under evacuation orders. British Columbia has imposed a ban on non-essential travel in order to keep accommodations unoccupied for firefighters and evacuees. The province has also requested drone operators and others who are capturing images of the fires to stay clear of the rescue operation. Now in lighter news, Colombians have taken their beds to the streets to celebrate World Laziness Day. This is the closing day of a festival held every year since 1985. In the outskirts of Medellin. During this event, the community is invited to make a healthy and positive use of their leisure time. The varied program includes multiple recreational activities and performances by various artists. The streets of the urban center are transformed into a stage for recreation and art. The World Day of Laziness is conceived as a proposal related to the slow movement which seeks to implement a calmer lifestyle. Enthusiasts of gravity races or soap boxes faced each other in a race in Brazil during the Virada Cultural Festival. Soap boxes are motorless vehicles which are raced on a downhill road. The festival also features diverse art shows and cultural events. But the main attraction is the traditional soap box race. The carts are mostly made of wood and bearings as wheels, and some can even reach over 50 kilometers per hour. The much anticipated terminal in a garden concept at Bengaluru International Airport is set to take flight. Its official international operations are set to commence from the T2 terminal. The bus suggests that Singapore Airlines will be the first to flag off international operations from the airport, with its Bengaluru to Changi Airport route becoming operational. Now, this step heralds a new era for the airport and international travellers alike. Reports suggest that Meta's latest venture, Threads, which has been missing a web version, might finally fill that gap. The tech giant is said to have been testing an early iteration of the web platform, aiming for a potential launch within the week. Yet, tech experts raise concerns about potential bugs that could potentially postpone the launch. Threads, often regarded as a basic X clone, has rapidly gained over 100 million users. Despite its rapid growth, its incomplete features have impacted user retention rates. Today, the US dollar started off on a sturdy note, building on 5 consecutive weeks of gain. Investors are eagerly turning their attention to the Federal Reserve's Jackson Hole Symposium seeking insights into the future trajectory of interest rates after the current hiking cycle. With US Treasury yields surging in anticipation of sustained higher rates, the dollar managed to inch forward against a basket of currencies. In the world of electric vehicles, a new challenge is electrifying Europe. Chinese EV makers like BYD, NIO and MG have raced ahead at home and are now setting their sights on the European market. But they are facing more than just competition. Stereotypes about Chinese manufacturing, import costs and a less developed EV market await. Despite these hurdles, they have made their mark, capturing 8% of European EV sales this year. Yet the road isn't smooth. Logistics, taxes and consumer trust pose real challenges. Western automakers are fighting back, slashing prices and revving up their EV game. Thailand's economy is facing unexpected hurdles as revealed in the second quarter report. Despite the challenges of weakening exports due to global demand slowing down, the nation found a silver lining in its resilient tourism sector. The government adjusted its growth forecast, now projecting a range of 2.5% to 3.0% for 2023. While the economy grew 1.8% from a year earlier in April-June, it fell short of the 3.1% anticipated by economists. Nevertheless, the vital tourism industry managed to keep the economy afloat, counterbalancing the export setbacks. And last in business, China has cut its one-year benchmark lending rate by 10 basis points, aiming to ignite credit demand and revive its cooling economy. However, markets were caught off guard as the 5-year rate remained unchanged amid concerns about a weakening currency. China's economic rebound has hit snags due to a property slump, weak consumer spending and shrinking credit growth. With limited room for deep monetary easing due to the pressures, Beijing walks a tightrope between stimulus and currency stability. Analysts speculate that China's cautious rate adjustments are designed to maintain a stable currency market.